Justice Emmanuel Danjuma Subilim of the National Industrial Court in Abuja has restrained the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, from embarking on its planned industrial action against Dangote Petroleum Refinery. Well, Justice Subilim, ruling on an ex parte application by Dangote Refinery on Monday, specifically restrained PENGASSAN from cutting crude and gas supply to Dangote Refinery. Besides PENGASSAN, other defendants in the suit include Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, that's NNPCL, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. Well, we've been joined in the studio here by Dele Fanimo, who is a reporter and a political affairs analyst. Good morning, Dele, and thanks for being part of the show. Okay, we still have Mazi Amobi Iheboro here with us. Now, Dele, let me come straight to you. Justice Danjuma Subilim issued an order restraining PENGASSAN from cutting gas, supplied to Dangote Refinery. I think he also said that they shouldn't go on a strike and all of that. Now, what is the role of the industrial court in mediating between warring factions in a labor crisis? Because anytime, I've not heard for the first time where people went to stop others from going on strike and the court said, no, allow them to strike. What is the role of the industrial court in all of this? I want us to establish that before we get into the issue with Dangote Refinery.
As it's not a regular court.
Okay.
Industrial court is specifically created to handle trade disputes.
Okay.
In the public and the private sector. And usually, when issues of trade disputes is subsumed in regular courts, it takes a while.
Okay.
And because of the urgency of mediating in these disputes, they had to create a court that is separate from the regular court.
Okay.
That's why. And they are not to call parties, they are not open to alternative dispute resolution.
Okay.
In the industrial court. You file your case, and on the merit or demerit of your case, they adjudicate. And it's another thing, it's one thing to obey the judgment of that court. It's another thing to obey it in breach. But they are not, that court was not created to call people into chambers to say, why don't you do it this way, why don't you do this way? So it's an open
okay, now thing. I ask this question in the light of the fact that, now does it look like, or it does appear that the court exists practically to work for government at all times? Because any time that people workers want to go on strike, especially against the government, now government is quick to run to the industrial court to stop that protest. Now, is it not part of stifling free space where Nigerian citizens have the right, to protest and demonstrate against bad governance or probably against labor issues that they feel that the government has not taken responsibility for their actions or inactions?
No, industrial court is not primarily for government to use against the labor unions.
Okay.
We have had cases of workers that have been unduly sacked, or even those ones that were their promotion was stifled.
No, I understand all of that. Now, my question is, have you, as an analyst, have you seen a situation where a particular group complainant went to court and said, these people want to go on strike, and the court said, allow them to strike?
No.
So?
And usually, it is not the judgment.
Okay.
It's just an injunction, ex parte motion that had been granted.
Okay.
That before you go into the specifics of this case, let the status quo remain. That is the judgment of the industrial court at this moment. That look, don't go on strike. Let's see the merit or demerit of your case before you go on strike.
Okay. All right. PENGASSAN, NLC just said, put its affiliates on standby to join the strike called upon by TUC and PENGASSAN as well against Dangote Refinery. And Mazi, now, Would it be a fair move to cut gas supply to Dangote Refinery because of the grievances being experienced between the PENGASSAN and the workers, the over 800 said workers that Dangote allegedly laid off? Would that be a fair move?
Absolutely, it's not, because a friend of mine who works in one of the companies told me yesterday that they are not producing because they use this gas to power their.
The company is which one? The Dangote Refinery?
No, not Dangote. I don't know. They use.
Okay.
I don't want to mention names here.
Okay.
But they use gas to power their facility, and suddenly yesterday morning there was no light. There was gas to power their facility. So it's already having a toll on. If you continue the aggregate in terms of the companies and all that, you can imagine what it will happen. But let us put the issue in context. Sometime, I think it's during Yar'Adua's regime, that Dangote wanted to buy off some refineries in this country, and he was stopped. He was asked to go and see what he can do to erect his own factory. I mean, a refinery. He did that, borrowed a humongous sum of $20 billion to simply do that and all that. And I have said it on this table also that Dangote may have done his feasibility studies very, very well. Know what it takes. Where do I get my raw materials? How do I get these products down to the people? What is the distribution channel and all that? He did all that before he came upstream. Having done that, he now said, okay, I think I can hazard this case. Where is the 3 or 4 Nigerian refineries now? Despite what Mela Carey told us 2-3 years ago that, we also know that about $21 billion have been sunk for this turnaround maintenance and all that. So what we are saying is that now that Dangote, because also remember that we are told, that Dangote Refinery is going to be a game changer in the energy sector. Now the man has come to, fulfill his promise. I'm not holding brief for Dangote, but before now it was Nupeng. After Nupeng, it was Dapman. Now it is PENGASSAN. Senior civil servants said they are waiting in the wings. NSC said they are coming up. Where were all these unions when Nigerian refineries, were managed to stupor? Where were they? That's the critical question we want to ask ourselves. There are things.
What are your thoughts on this? Do you think somebody or some people at the top are trying to, cripple?
That is not coming from me. That is what Dangote said. He said there is a sabotage. Sabotage can be within or without, outside. He said there is sabotage. And Dangote has come to tell us also that for any truck that leaves his facility, the union, the PENGASSAN, or PENGASSAN or whatever, charges between 50,000 to 80,000 per truck. And it is believed that Dangote, about 2,000 trucks leave Dangote's, it is multiply 4,000 trucks a day. Multiply that by 50,000 basic minimum, and then by 5 days, and in 1 month, you are looking at about 500 million naira or thereabout. Who does that? So if you ask me my considered opinion, I think that there are a lot of things, and also Dangote positioned that the workers take about 200% more salary than the regular in the industry and all that. These unions have not come to debunk that. Let them debunk what Dangote is saying. If really their idea is for the welfare of their own members, they should come and debunk what Dangote said he's paying and what Dangote said they are picking up from each truck in the refinery that picks petroleum products. So what am I saying in effect? It's like, we usually say that when there is a change, people begin to scamper for refuge here and there. That calls to question the whole issue of trade unionism. Is trade union meant to stifle investors? What is presently happening to Dangote? Investors are watching, both local and international. They're also watching. Nigeria professes giving investors enabling environment to operate, ease of doing business, and what have you. This is the time it should play out. Because if you probably go into the minds of Dangote, he would feel that, can I just pick this refinery from here and go to another country?
Oh, well, some countries have asked him to come establish
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in their land.
Where the environment will be conducive for him to, deal with business. No one is talking about Dangote repairing his loan he collected. No one is talking about that. The last time I checked, Nigeria is not a socialist state. Neither is it pure capitalist or whatever. It's a kind of mixture between the two. So if unions feel so embittered about this, they should come together and build their own refinery.
All right, then.
That's what I say.
Patrick, let's get you into this conversation now. Now, some have said, some on the side of the unions have said, look, if we allow an individual take charge of production, distribution of PMS, crude in general, and the things that come out of it, he will monopolize the market. What do you make of that assertion?
Reacting to that question, as a standalone question, I find it is a very interesting question because we must be very careful when it comes to monopoly. And as a Nigerian myself, I know that in the past, other producers who have, shared the same space with Dangote at some point have accused him, of, unfair practices. We've seen the cement, how he monopolized cement and all of that. So for me, as a nation, we must be very careful because monopoly doesn't do anyone any good. We must allow the environment, the space, we must allow the space for others to come in and not hinder people. Because fuel is the live wire of this country. It is the live wire. Why do we have the kind of inflation we have? Because of the subsidies gone, statement, and then, the current cost of fuel. Because we don't have rails, we don't have some other form of moving goods and services. So truly, those who are looking at it from that perspective have a valid point, and they have my support. Because such monopoly could be used against Nigerians. That's the truth.
All right, talking about the monopoly being used against Nigeria at this point, there was a question someone actually asked. Why is it then that Nigeria Nigeria decided at this point in time to allow an individual do what they cannot do? I'm talking about allowing an individual have a refinery working against the nation's 4 refineries, being, will I say, in Comato State and all that.
You see, the truth is, we have been crying about bad governance for a very long time. And it is at the root of our problems. It's at the root of our problems. In foreign countries, private refineries, government refineries, okay, what's the state of our universities? If we're talking about refineries, what's the state of our universities? What's the state of our public health system? So, the bad governance is at the root of this whole issue. So you cannot, the petroleum industry is not an isolated case. Other sectors are not working at, optimal level. So that is the problem. We've seen how these refineries, these moribund refineries, have been used to continuously, exert pressure on the Nigeria's financial system. So much funds has gone out of the system. If there was to be a proper audit, the kind of money that should be recovered from the refineries can turn this nation around. So for me, that is not the argument. The argument is the fact that players who come into the economic space must play by the rules, and there should be free entry and free exit, even though, yes, it's a massive investment. Even the refineries, it is still the same government, government and people around government that have made sure that it has not worked. What is there in turning around a refinery and is it money that has not been spent by the country?
All right.
It's just that there's no political will.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Patrick Ohifeme. Thank you for your time and your thoughts on the program. This is where we draw the curtains on VOP this morning. Newspaper review comes up next, but we must say We must appreciate you for being on the program. Mazi Amobi Iheburo, thank you very much as well for being part of the conversation. Daily Fanimo joined the conversation. We do appreciate you as well.